Hi, this is Michael Branton Smith, and I'm going to show you how I make these animated GIFs inside televisions that I use on my blog, Don't Turn That Dial, on Tumblr. The first thing you need is an old ad. There's a Flickr member named Wishbook who posts catalogs of old catalogs, such as this JCPenney catalog, and I'm going to use this TV down here. And the first thing we have to do is make a selection. Okay, I like to make selections in Photoshop by first drawing a path with the pen tool. It's the most accurate way to kind of draw around and make a selection. So this is how I trace the exterior of the TVs and then also the interior. And after that, you can turn the path into a selection. Okay, once I have a path around the outside of the TV, another path that is the inside where the screen is, I can turn these paths into a selection. So under the path menu, which is right near the layers menu, you can select make selection. You don't want any feather radius, you say OK. Now you see a selection has been made around the TV. You got to remember to turn the background. If it's an image that is a base layer or background layer, you have to turn this into a layer for transparency, because we don't want this to turn into just the background color, white or whatever color. So we turn that into a layer 0 background. And now we want to convert the selection to everything else. We're going to invert the selection. And we hit delete. It's time to just crop this image so you don't have any of the extra space where the rest of the advertisements were for other items. So we're going to use the crop tool, and in this version of Photoshop in CS6, you just drag from the sides, top and bottom, or the corners. And hit return. Alright, with the television now transparent in its background, I like to do a couple basic cleanups. First, we do some curves to work on some contrast here, just to make it a little more rich blacks. Also, adjust the hue. A lot of these tend to be a little blue, so we're going to bring out some of those reds. That looks pretty good. That's too much. And we'll desaturate a little bit too. Alright. And finally, I tend to sharpen the image a bit using the Unsharp Mask tool. Not too much. You can preview it, turn it on and off. See what it looks like. Okay, and now it's ready to be used with an animated GIF of a moment from television. Okay, with your TV ready, you need to have a piece of video that you want to load it in Photoshop as frames for an animation. And I have this little bit of Wilma work in the backyard barbecue in the Flintstones that I think is going to work really well. So what you need to do is import that. If you haven't done GIFs in Photoshop before, so under File, Import Video Frames to Layers. And tend to want to limit the frames. We throw away a bunch of frames if it's long at all. In this case, it is a little long, so I'm going to limit this to about every 3 frames. And make sure this is checked off. Make frame animation. And now you have a set of frames. Now you can get in there and clean these frames up, which I'm going to do by throwing away. You can see here this is due to what's called a 3-to-2 pull down. This is where two frames are blended in the interlaced lines, and so that looks a little ugly. So you can select these and delete frames. So that's going to take a little while, and I'm going to clean them all up. Okay, once you've got your animation all clean, you can test it out. I do a couple save ases to just test it out. But you're ready to add your TV now. What you want to do is select the very top layer. Even though I've thrown away a lot of layers, there's only 32 layers, 32 frames, even though it shows 90 layers. So I've thrown out quite a significant number of frames in this animation. But I select the top one because then when you have the top layer selected, when you go to add the TV, it's going to place it as a layer above the top layer. So now I'm ready to get my television. So I'm going to take my TV and then just select all, and then copy it, then move over to Wilma and paste it, and you can see it's too big, but it's now over it. And you can see also in the frames that the TV is on top of every frame. Now I'm going to have to resize the TV, but what's important is that you select all your frames so that when you adjust the position of the TV where you want it, it's going to happen in every frame. In Photoshop, if you make a move, an adjustment of the position of an object, it does it only for the frame selected. So you want to make sure all the frames are selected. So I'm going to select the first frame and the last frame while holding down the Shift key. And now I can do the free transform, edit, free transform. And I can resize this TV while holding down the Shift key so it keeps its aspect ratio. I'll fit it right in there. Okay. Hit return. So now the TV fits in here, but now we need to change the aspect, the size of the GIF that's behind it. In order to do this, now we actually select all the layers. And so I start at the top, in this case layer 90. It doesn't matter that they're not all being used, might as well just do all of them. Hold down the Shift key, down to layer 1, so all the layers are selected. And I'm going to use the transform, but not free transform. We need to be able to distort this because it's not going to be square inside that screen. It's going to be more of a parallelogram. So we're going to say distort. And now we have these little handles. And I drag each one to just outside the corners of the TV. Trying to keep the tops and bottoms parallel. Then we hit return, and now we have the TV, the GIF inside the animation inside the TV. All right. Just a couple last things I do before we save it for the web. With the cropping tool, it's good to just get rid of this excess space left and right that's now been revealed as we made the Wilma smaller inside the television, and I hit return to confirm that. And then we check the image size. I post these to Tumblr, and Tumblr has some pretty strict requirements. The width can't exceed 500, nor can the size of it be over a megabyte. And even still, that doesn't always work, and you fiddle with that to make it work. So now it's time to save this for the web. And thankfully this one is nice, coming in at a nice tidy 463.9 kilobytes. Otherwise, I've sometimes adjusted the number of colors. Fewer colors will take away some size. If there's a dither, get rid of the dither. The dither adds a lot of size. But this one should be pretty straightforward and work. So I'm going to save this one. And let's open it in a browser and see how it works. And there you go. A Don't Turn That Dial television GIF. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Michael Branson Smith and how to make a Don't Turn That Dial styled animated GIF.